All right, folks, welcome. Harmless Dave here, talking about real music in real time for a few real people out there, just like you and me. And today we have another special guest. We had a great interview yesterday, but today we're introducing folks to some new music out there, which is really great. We've got Matthias Olofsson. He comes to us all the way from Sweden, where I guess is very cold right now. Matthias, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing well. I have a little scratchiness in the throat, but I have the mute button, so I can use that to my advantage. So I was very much taken in by this first album you guys did. I don't know, you released it, what, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago now? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
year and a half. Yeah,
Yeah.
year and a
Yeah.
half.
And the song Caroline came out, and I'm an old guy. So I heard this big hook and this soaring voice, and I'm thinking, man, if it were 1986 and I was back as a DJ in those days doing the top 40 radio station, that song would have been in my heavy rotation because it just had all of those elements. I hear a little bit of Starship, a little bit of Richard Marx, some Toto, some Journey, some Foreigner in there. Are those your inspirations for this, or where do you get the grand, I'm going to use that a lot, the grand vision?
Well, that was actually kind of spot on. Uh, I grew up listening to. I say I'm born in the wrong time. I'm born 1983. So I would like to. Yeah. But my big brother had some records, so I started to listen to this kind of band. Europe, it's from
Yeah.
Sweden, and Journey and Starship and all of those guys. That's how I learned to sing, by listening to Steve Perry and those guys. And yeah, so
Yeah.
they're a great inspiration.
Yeah, it's one thing to love it, but it's another thing to kind of put out your own version in the year 2023, 2024, 2022, I guess the first album. And it's remarkable. The new album, which isn't out until Friday, comes out in 2 days. So people need to, mark the calendar. The new album's called Second to None. And thanks to the nice people over at Frontiers Music, they send me a link and I get to listen from start to finish. You guys have this album. The first album was great. This new album is even better. It's got bigger hooks. It's just from start to finish. The single that's out there right now is called Crash and Burn, and the album cover is a classic, like American, looks like an American muscle car cruising down the road with the flames and the smoke coming out of it. I love that, man. It's good to know that you guys in Sweden are kind of keeping the old music going. Let me just put it that way.
Thank you. Glad to hear.
Yeah. And so what the songwriting, do you do the songwriting? And you have a really great guitarist as well, I might add, who sounds terrific on this album. How do you come up with song ideas?
Well, it's me and Jacob doing the songs, and it's sometimes he sends me a riff and I do something on that, and sometimes I do the song and I send it to him and he do like a riff on that. But it's the I'm kind of doing the melodies and the lyrics, and he's kind of producing it, doing the riffs, doing maybe he does some chord changes where he like, oh, we should do this in the bridge here, and he is kind of the jazzy guy who could doing kind of this fancy chords. So so that's good. We have a great collaboration there, and we're like we got exactly the same preferences. So he's kind of producing it, and the things it's never been like this in my life. The things I hear in my head, he like makes it comes out exactly the way I want it, and the way we want it. So it's great.
That is great. It sounds like you got kind of like a musical partnership there. Hopefully, like 20 years from now, you guys won't be fighting over royalties or something. be like these two guys that used to hang out and love each other, and now it's one of those deals. And I think of that because of all the the older bands now just kind of holding on. What would you tell fans of melodic rock these days? Do you think this stuff is it's going to make a comeback? Like, I know in Sweden it's an unusual place because I interview a lot of guys from your area, from Malmo and just around Sweden who have these great bands, and I hear them and I say to folks, you got to listen to, say, Perfect Plan. They're fantastic. Or you got to hear this. I share this stuff with people my age and just people who like this kind of music. Do you think it's making a comeback?
I hope it does, because and I think in Sweden we're born with all this kind of melodies. We got ABBA, so we got the melodies, and we like melodies, great
Mm-hmm.
melodies. And I think in the melodic rock from the 80s and the 70s, they had great melodies. So yeah, I really hope it's coming back more. Absolutely, we got some great, really loyal fans to the genre, but we wanted I hope it could get out even bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, on your new album, if I remember correctly, in my mind, as I get older, it gets a little more difficult. But on one of the songs, you mention a tape, right? Is in the song that you were listening to a like this old song by this band, and it cracked me up because when I think of an old song by, I think it was Journey, right? Was
Yeah,
the
yeah,
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 and
exactly.
it's just funny because people can kind of transform. You kind of hit a nice market there because there are a lot of us now that they're reminiscing about the days when we could play our tapes on the boom boxes and hang out and cruise in the car like on the album cover. I mean, you really have captured that spirit. Was that intentional? Was that just like we need a band, we'll just put this in there, or was that like realistic?
Absolutely. That song is kind of about my youth. I was born in a little town in the south of Sweden, and we had these. I had two friends. They listened to exact the same music, Bon Jovi, Europe Journey, and we just hang out. And this summer we had no. It was before you got to work in your summer holiday or wanted to work, so we just hung out and listened to this great bands that we loved, and it was like you said that there were albums. It was CDs at that time, but
Yeah,
you listen to the whole CD. It wasn't this kind of streaming stuff where you listen
right.
to one. You listen to the album and you sing along with, and you listen one time. You listen to the lyrics, and then you listen to what the guitarist did, and you talk about that. It was more social thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that song is actually about that. So we did listen to a Journey song, and we did sang at the top of our lungs.
That's
So
awesome. See, and right there, folks, that's one of the reasons you need to check out the new Grand album. All right. So, again, for Journey fans, because I have a ton of Journey fans on this channel who pay attention to everything either Steve Perry does or Journey does, and Journey's about to go out on tour. That'd be kind of a nice gig to have, like maybe opening up for a band like Journey, right?
that would be the big dream come true. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you guys have the chops. You guys have the chops to do it. Where'd you get that voice that you have? A lot of people are going to wonder, how does that guy sing like that? It's just something you're born with?
Uh, well, you're kind of born with a certain kind of range or what your voice is, where it sounds the best. But then I listen to Steve Perry, I listen to David Coverdale, I listen to Mickey Thomas. I listen to them when I learned to sing and like how they did, and I try to. So I think that's also my way of doing it. Is I've been listening. That's all I've been listening to when I was young. So I kind of maybe got into that lane. But of course, I'm a tenor,
Yeah.
and that helps.
Yeah. Well, you kind of remind me of a very young Bobby Kimball from Toto with all that just incredible, almost just, I can just give me a note. It's not going to bother me. And I'll purposely write. I remember reading that Lou Gramm and Steve Perry used to kind of challenge each other to see who could sing crazier high notes, and they kind of regretted it later on because when they get older, it's harder to do that. But you are just, this is your path. This is what your band is about. Although you're not always singing super high notes, it's just impressive. The new album, by the way, has this song called Kryptonite. I wanted to ask you about that. It's a duet and it's a pretty powerful song. What's that about?
Well, it's about. It's also a little bit about nostalgia. It's about a couple who are high school sweethearts, and like made a pact to stay together to thick and thin, and then life came and he went off for like kind of college, and they never seen each other then. And but both of them are thinking about the other one and can't let the other one go, but they don't know about each other. So that's kind of it's also about a mixtape. They had a mixtape
Yep.
together, and he still got it in his drawer, and she also got it in her drawer, listening to it sometimes to their songs, and yeah. So it's kind of about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of nostalgia on here for folks that are all kind of looking for something to hang on to, where a lot of these older bands, like I talk about on my channel a lot, they're on life support, unfortunately, because of the age of certain people, and it just gets really tough. So it's great to know that there's something out there that folks can go to next. If you get tired of listening to Journey, which some people don't, but I understand maybe you want something new for your collection, and Grand is there. So you guys are actually releasing the album in a couple of days. And from what I read from Frontiers, I guess you're performing in at this big festival coming up this summer. Tell us about what that festival is, and that's a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's called Malo Melodic, and it's in the town of southern Sweden called Malmo. And the great thing about it is you got all these kind of big rock festivals in Europe and in all over the world, and I think most of them have a little bit harder niche, harder bands. You got
Right.
some AOR bands, sometimes you got some melodic rock, but this festival is really all about melodic rock and AOR bands. So there are a lot of bands, including us, that don't play so much live, or don't play maybe at those other festivals that got more. The audience is kind of expecting more harder stuff.
Right.
So, and we're all gathered in this festival in 3 days, and yeah, it's going to be amazing. And there are many bands from Sweden also, so we got a lot of friends there as well.
Yeah, and how is how was this album here received in your own country? Did folks like it? Did they purchase a lot of copies? How did it do?
Well, it's kind of, yeah, no, not as much as we wanted, of course. Kind of yeah, we got a lot of loyal fans, and we got great reception on it from everyone who've been listening to it. But it's hard to get through the big, yeah, it's a lot of pop music that's out there, so it's kind of hard to getting out there to the big, what do you say, yeah,
Market, yeah.
Big market and mainstream media and stuff like that. So, but we got more from the other parts of the world that's been listening to it. So, and hopefully with every record we get out there, the audience will get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I'm told a band like your band should probably go to like Japan, because they're connoisseurs of this. They love the melodic rock, and they love all the old sort of West Coast music that came out in America back in like the late 70s and the early 80s. So they, for whatever reason, like you say, in certain parts of the world, this is a big deal. So anything else you want to say or talk about before we go? I'd like to maybe give you a plug where to find maybe your social media. You have a Facebook page?
Yeah, we have a Facebook page, Grand the Band Sweden. I think it's the address to it. And yeah, hope you're gonna like the record. Stream it, buy it, talk about it, and hope we can get to play in the US and yeah, Japan and something. We just want to get out there and meet people and play, and we hope we can make that happen.
All right. And just a reminder to everybody, the new Crash and Burn album, that's the name of it. That's the second, or no, I'm sorry, Second to None is the name of the album. The single is Crash and Burn. Sorry. And that's coming out on Friday. And you need to pre-order your copy right now, so, the record label doesn't run out. Frontiers Music. Matthias, I'm messing this up again. Thank you so much for being here, and best of luck to you in 2024.
Thank you for having me. Best of luck to you too.
All right.